So we must have some kind of mechanism to handle this data deluge, I will say. It's like, data is like overflowing, right? So my point is like, there needs to be an infrastructure in place. There needs to be some kind of, how do we handle this, right? So it's just not the software or, just not the technical expertise. Though those things also count, but they are not the only skills, right? So if you look at the future skills, analyzing the data, like, how to mine the data, how to make sense out of the data. Again, if somebody doesn't know how to make sense out of the data is as good as a dead data, right? It's like the data is existing, but and it can really be, a lot of companies, they analyze the data, right? And they, if some sense is made out of that, right? Some major product decisions evolve, and the direction of the company or some of the major decisions of the company, right? That is taken, and that can change the course of the company itself, right? That can change the course of the company, because the whatever data which we are analyzing, right, that can what to say, that can set the trend, and we can analyze the trends, and we can look at what are all the, based out of the analysis, what are all the futuristic trends, how will the company be performing, right? Lot of insights can come out of the data. So if you look at it, analyzing the data, understanding the risk, mastering robotics, okay, these are all some of the evolving, securing information, running the network, right? Analyzing the data, running the network, these are all some of the skills of the future, just for your understanding I'm saying. But the thing is, data is going to multiply like anything, right? So we must have something to, some system in place to make sense out of it, analyze the data, and how do we, channelize the data. All these are going to be playing a vital role here, right? Okay, moving on. So agenda, friends, I think I took a little longer in the previous slide, but good that we still covered that aspect, whatever I wanted to say. Can't wait to learn what is Hadoop, what is IoT, what is analytics, how they can be used together, and we will also look at use cases if time permits. Um, Look at Hadoop, friends. I think uh, Hadoop is a framework that powers a platform that stores, processes big data that is scalable, reliable, and highly available, right? Multiple servers are connected via Hadoop as if it were one large computer. So friends, one thing I want to say, Hadoop. A lot of people get confused. I think I'm sure, many of you will be already knowing, but I just want to reiterate for the people who may not know this. Hadoop is, you know it's a framework that addresses the challenge or the problem posed by big data, right? People get some learners have asked me, hey, I am here to learn big data, why are you teaching me Hadoop, right? So friends, can you hear me? I don't see. So people get this kind of questions, right, sometimes. But just to demystify these terms, all I want you to understand in a very clear, crisp way, if someone asks you what is big data, what is Hadoop, big data is the problem, right? Big data is the challenge, which the traditional systems are bleeding, and they are not able to answer, not able to offer a solution, right? Not able to offer a solution. Now, Hadoop is a framework that gives a very cost effective, okay, solution, which also provides, very high throughput, and it gives a pretty good solution, okay. And it also says which is scalable, because Hadoop can scale, meaning if you're handling, let's say, 20 terabytes of data, right? Tomorrow you want to your data volume has increased, right? Data volume has suddenly increased, and you need to handle 30 terabytes of data in a traditional system, right? What you will do, you will add more RAM or more processing speed, processor. You will kind of, uh, stuff all this into a powerful server. One day the server says, goodbye, thank you, I cannot handle this anymore, or I'm walking out, right? That's precisely what will happen. In this case, we are talking about commodity servers which are very, very cost effective, right? So if 30 terabytes of data, I'm going to add another 20 systems, 20 commodity servers into the cluster. Cluster is nothing but group of machines, right? So I'm just going to plug in these new systems. So that makes it very effective and very scalable. When I talk about scalable, it is horizontally scalable, right? More the number, like if I need to handle more load, all I need to do is I'm going to make it horizontally scalable, right? Reliable. It also provides fault tolerance, right? So it keeps redundant copies in different, three redundant copies in the overall cluster. That makes it reliable, and it is also highly available, meaning even if couple of if one server dies, right, the information, because it is maintains the reliability, it keeps the information somewhere. So it is very reliable and it's highly available. There is no situation for you that that one place is like the two servers are malfunctioning and you can still pull the data and the system is available up and running, right? Okay, so it's generally, it fulfills all this criteria. Multiple servers are connected via Hadoop as if it were one large computer, right? So this is about Hadoop, just a gist, and it has got 3 layers. Okay, just a second, friends. Pratidas says I don't have the audio settings when I'm going to setting. Pratidas, could you check with the Edureka support here? Yeah. So please check with Edureka support. Yeah, I'm just responding to that person. Okay, good luck. Hadoop has 3 layers: cluster maintenance. Somebody needs to maintain the cluster, and it has got storage and processing. So these are the vital things in Hadoop, different layers, right? You need to understand this. So it comes with share nothing architecture, right? How it is, differs from the distributed storage in a way that, it has got several independent storage servers. There is no sharing here, right? That's why it's called share nothing. Here it is share everything, right? In the Unix file system, you have a server, it is mapped to a disk and all that. So here again you have a storage access network. If you look at the Oracle rack, here it is independent servers, right? Mapped to independent databases here. So it is share nothing. So if you look at it, look at the rack, how it is done, task assignment, these things, a typical cluster would look like this. As I told you, cluster would be made up of, cluster is the superset right at the top. It would be made up of rack 1, rack 2, rack 3. I can have n number of racks, and and you can have the cluster geographically distributed as well, right? So every rack would have multiple slave nodes, which are nothing but commodity servers, right? Within the commodity server, you're not hearing. Okay, um, friends, there are somebody, Haimavati is a person who says you're not hearing my voice. Okay, you guys are all muted, just for your information, because there are too many people, right? So I mean, I'm very thrilled to have you as in the audience, but you're all muted. Any questions, you may need to ask through this window, right? So, but just park these questions, until I call out for questions, because it's going to be, it may upset the flow otherwise, right, friends? Thanks for this understanding. Okay, just, yeah, this is the previous slide. All right, thank you. All right, now in this, if you look at it, right, Hadoop has got master slave architecture. The master is the one. Okay, Akhilesh, uh, I'll come to the questions, Akhilesh. What is SAN storage area network? I'll come to that. Okay, towards the, I'll call out for question time. That's when I plan to take up the questions. Is that fine with all of you, friends? Let me just go as a flow and cover the vital aspects. Is that fine? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, the point here is it has got a master slave architecture. The master is the one that's going to determine, okay, um, that will take uh, the, anything that happens to the cluster, right? That anything that needs to come to the cluster, the first instruction will hit the master server, right? That's where your master daemons are running. Name node is for this processing. Job tracker is for the uh, name node is for the storage. Job tracker is for the processing, right? So in Hadoop 2, the later version of Hadoop, it has job tracker has been replaced by resource manager. Just for your information, I'm saying. Similarly, task tracker is become node manager, but task tracker is your processing slave node. Data node is your slave node for storage, right? So it'll have multiple slave nodes, or in other words, slave machines. For example, rack 1 has got 3 slave machines, rack 2 has got 3, rack 3 has got 3, and so on and so forth. All these are slave machines, right? So data read, write, anything that needs to happen to the Hadoop cluster has to go through this first, because name node has the information where to put the data, right? Where to plug in the data in which data node, and similarly the name node will decide where to read the information from, right? Because it maintains a kind of index, right? It maintains a kind of index, and it also knows which node has got what data, right? So it maintains the metadata. In other words, it's data about the data, right? Examples of master node. Okay, master node is nothing but a, it is like, it takes care of all the instructions that needs to be processed in the Hadoop cluster. And because it has the complete information, let me give you a small analogy. If you go to a library, right, the librarian, what does he do? He refers to, or today, we all go to different shops, big libraries, right? What do? We don't go and randomly look for data, right? We look at a catalog, right? Whether it is electronic or manual, we look at a catalog, and that really tells us which rack holds what kind of books, right? So we straight away go there. Ale 7, this is a rack number 3, that's the comedy genre, right? Comedy book. Go to Richie Rich. I'm just throwing a wild example here. So that gives you a very clear picture, right? So the catalog book is something like your master node, right? That has the entire information about all the information that is physically stored here, right? So um, so coming back to this, friends, uh, generally master, right? You can have, in the Hadoop 2 and all, you can have different you know master servers, but we are talking about one master server, and you can have multiple slave nodes here, right? Sure. Thanks. Okay, now you all know, I think this baby is confused. I'm sure you all know what is a big data, because we discussed about it. Hoax or I didn't get the promotion. Apparently my data was not big enough. And look at this. Does this count as big data? Okay. I think you will find mine is bigger than yours. Okay, whatever. It's just a small comic strip. Okay, okay. Uh, do we need Java programming to learn Hadoop? Not exactly, right? So what is big data? Okay, big data. Okay, friends. Uh, Big data is actually volume, velocity. This is the IBM's definition of big data, right? You got volume, velocity, variety, and veracity, which is uncertainty of data. So I'll just give you a small thing. What is a volume you're talking about, right? So people talk about, terabytes, petabytes, those kind of volume we are talking about, at least a gigabyte and all that, right? Those are all big volumes which your traditional systems cannot handle it, right? Your traditional small, systems like, let's talk about Oracle or Postgres, all these databases, right? They all can handle, they are all, time tested applications, right? That can actually work great for small to medium business applications, right? The moment it becomes a very large one, right, your joins, whatever you write, it becomes very complicated and takes a lot of time to even, to process the data, or some of the joins, it takes forever, because we talk about normalization, we talk about optimization. Beyond a point, all these things will not work, right? So that's, we are talking about volume in, petabyte also. It takes a lot of time to be processed, right? the velocity, the speed of change, right? Velocity. Today we are talking about 500 million tweets per day, right? And there is going to there is at least 500 terabytes of data of photos uploaded on a daily basis in Facebook, right? So this is a kind of velocity, right? We are talking about like New York Stock Exchange. They keep adding 1 terabyte of new trade data every day, right? So that's the kind of velocity we are talking about. And variety, we get variety of data. We get it from the sensors, we get it from the application server, web server, right? We get it from devices, and we get it from social media. All these are variety, and veracity is the uncertainty of data, and it also affects the quality of the data, right? That is your veracity. So this is the IBM's definition of big data. It's represented in 4 ways, and it's a very, very powerful thing. It's a good, fairly a very good concept, and all the people insist on. I mean, it's a very famous definition of big data. You are not just a buzzword. I've got what is big data. It's huge amount of data which is getting harder to be stored in traditional databases. It's a combination of structured, unstructured, and semi-structured, right? Semi-structured. So friends, I want to tell you something. Structured is all your something which has got a definite schema and all that. So in fact, text also is actually unstructured. If it is with the schema, it's probably structured, but text can be unstructured as well. Video, audio, all these log files, everything is unstructured. And semi-structured is something like your emails. Again, I would say something like an email body, right? Email to, from, all those things, they are fairly within a XML, right? So they are kind of structured, but if you put it like the email body, although it is having an XML tag, right? But the body within it can be completely unstructured, right? Because it's free flowing text. Similarly, if you're talking about Amazon book review, I'm giving you an example here. Book review, right? In that, people talk about, here is the book, here is the author and all that. The review comments, right? One person will write 3 lines, another person can write a stinker for 100 lines, one person can pay a glorifying tribute to the author for 150 lines. That's a free flowing text that is completely unstructured. That's why even though it is contained within a structured XML tag, what is inside is unstructured, so it becomes semi-structured, right? So okay, unstructured, unprocessed, unaggregated, unfiltered, repetitive, low quality, generally messy, and there's lot to it, right? So this is big data for you. Okay, friends, look at this. I love this slide. Data becoming the raw new material of business. Torture the data, it will confess to everything. World is one heck of a big data problem. Information, look at this. This is the latest thing. People are talking about the gold rush. If you talk about the good old 18th century, 19th century, even 20th century, right? Gold rush. How people were chasing the gold. Then came the black gold, right? The crude and petroleum and all that. Now we are talking about data is the latest thing. That gives you, it's like you can unearth gold here, right here. If you know how to analyze the data, it is worth the weight of gold. Okay, in God we trust, all others must bring data, right? So if you just, I mean, this goes to prove that if uh, if we have, like, whatever you say anything about this, right? If you're going to be like supported by uh, a factual information, anything, right? People take it rather seriously if it is backed by data, right? If there is no data, I don't think it's going to fly anywhere, right? So unless somebody like Steve Jobs comes and demonstrates, right? He's a different breed altogether. He said, I'm not going to study the marketing data. I'm not going to go to the site and look what people want. Rather, I would define what they would need, right? So he went and designed the iPod and all that stuff, and rest is history. That is like 1 in a billion or 1 in a 10 billion, right? That's not going to be, all the, that's not going to be the case all the time. But what I'm saying is, we need solid data to prove anything. And data science, everything is like, it is after the data, right? So data science is all about, predictive analytics and all that, how to make sense out of the data. And there's a lot of things, people are able to be, people are able to predict a lot of things using analytics. Okay, and you all know that business intelligence was ruling sometime back with the combination of data warehousing and all that. Today analytics is like, is surging ahead because it is futuristic. Intelligence is all about historical information. This is futuristic, right? You are looking at the pattern, you're looking at the trend, then you're predicting what is going to happen, right? That's completely a different paradigm, right? It's a huge paradigm shift. And let's move forward what they have to say. So what does the big data come from? If you look at it, big data is coming from, look at this variety, right? Internet, technology, network, strategy, storage, discovery, it consists of various things, security management, all the things, right? It can come from any of these combinations and, varieties of devices, right? And internet is one of the major sources, major feeders for big data. Data is growing with internet. 42% of the world population has internet in Jan 2015, which is a pretty encouraging indicator, right? Even in India, right? The it's growing at a pretty alarming rate, right? So look at this, South Asia, 19. I mean, it's comparatively lesser, right? In Asia, Southeast Asia, and all that, but yet things are rapidly growing, and more and more people are getting access to the internet. 69%, 58. Look at this, North America is like topping the chart. They're way up. And total population this much, and penetration 42%, and active social media accounts, which is 29%, right? Unique mobile users, which is again 51%. In fact, this is like mobile social accounts 23%. In fact, in India, I could be wrong here, friends, but what I've read is the mobile penetration is even more in remote places compared to the internet, right? Most of them may not have the computer, but they have the mobile. So that's one of the growing markets too. So data explosion with internet revolution. Look at how it has evolved, right? Internet of geeks, masses, mobile internet, and now Internet of Things 2012 and beyond, right? So we are gradually getting into the Internet of Things, right? So friends, before I move a little further, like, okay, now it says I just understood what the heck is Internet of Things. We are going to see that, but I want to tell you something. Like Internet of Things, again, it's not a technology, right? It's an enabler. Okay, it's a technology enabler. It's a framework, and it is like, we are talking about all the machines, anything, any device, anything, right? All the things are going to have some kind of IP address. Just imagine, right? It's going to be a connected world, right? I just want to provide you this preamble so that so that you start understanding what is, you can start visualizing what is Internet of Things, right? So let's say that you have a refrigerator, you have you have a modem, you have an air conditioner, you have a TV, and you have a car, and you have a cooking microwave. Everything, right? Everything has got its own IP, and let's say that all of them, without manual intervention, starts communicating based on some based on some configuration whatever has been set in, right? So it knows that okay, refrigerator has been on for few days, and suddenly the let's say the freezer is malfunctioning, and it can straight away send a ping to the service center, and they can attend to this. All these things are like happening without much of manual intervention, right? Okay, so there are lots and lots of examples. It's going to be a connected world. So that's where we are headed to, right? Look at this. I mean, it's very, very interesting here. Your meeting is pushed back for 45 minutes This is communicated to your alarm clock, which allows you 5 minutes of five extra minutes of sleep, right? So because everything is like, for you to wake up, go to the, brush, car, go to the car, take the car, go to the work, if it is so programmed, right, so mechanical, right? So if the meeting is pushed, if there is a notification, a lot of times, that, somebody says I'm running late with the meeting and all that, right? All these things could happen, but we go there, we keep waiting, or sometimes we don't even know, we just rush to the office, okay, then to realize that something has got delayed and all that. So that's like a pleasant surprise, and sometimes it can be very irritating too. But let's assume that if it is communicated, right, and accordingly your time is adjusted. So how, I mean, this looks like it is little unbelievable, right? But it's actually becoming reality, right? So look at the connected things. Your car knows it'll need gas to make it to the train station. The fill-ups usually take 5 minutes, and there is a detour happening because there's an accident in the driving route. So immediately there is a ping coming, and accordingly your car will take a, it will suggest for an alternate route, right? Okay. So train is running 20 minutes behind schedule, signals your car to start in 5 minutes to melt the ice accumulated in overnight stars, snowstorms, right? Because of, it can be connected to the weather, right? Because the weather has been so adverse. The previous night it had stormed heavily, snowed heavily. So you will get like, you just get up and you are getting ready for the car, and then to realize that, the whole place is like messed up. You need to clean and all that, right? That may delay the whole thing. So it just pings signals to your car, and it starts immediately. Everything is, the defogger is switched on. Just imagine, right? It looks like very it looks like a virtual world, right? But that's becoming a reality. It's all becoming the connected part. Signals your coffee maker to turn on 5 minutes late as well. So all these things, it's like having a ripple effect, right? Because the meeting got pushed by 45 minutes. Everything can happen, right? Accordingly, the time gets adjusted. Okay, that sounds cool, but is it a reality, right? Okay, look at this thing, friends. Mind-boggling IoT statistics. The same thing was with big data like a couple of years back, and big data is still a buzzword, right? And trust me, friends, it is not like, today we are saying, yesterday we were saying big data, today we are saying IoT. It's not like that, because big IoT, whatever is coming out of the IoT information, right? All these data has to be analyzed and disseminated or channelized, right? Or communicated to the respective channels in a very mature way, right? So this is again going to be, big data is going to be like a, what to say, it's going to work in tandem with IoT, right? IoT is an enabler, as I told you, right? Look at the statistics. IoT market will surpass PC, tablet, phone market combined, right? 82% of the companies have IoT implemented to the business in some way by 2017, which is staggering, right? Today, I don't think many companies even know it fully, right? But they know that something is coming, right? Okay. So IDC predicts that IoT market will grow to 7.1 trillion by 2020 compared to 1.9 trillion in 2013, right? So that's a quantum jump. Gartner says 26 billion devices, Cisco says 50 billion, Intel says it'll be 200 billion, IDC says 212 billion, Okay, let's not worry about all this, fancy numbers, but bottom line, they're all big numbers, right? There'll be hell a lot of connected device. In fact, one other thing I can tell you, like, it also came out in this kind of statistics. We are all having today, we are having, like, each of us having personal devices, right? We are, on an average, we are having like 1.5 devices, right? We have a mobile phone, we have a, you know a smartphone, we have a smartphone, we have a Fitbit, we have some other devices and all that. But going forward, every person, right, by 2020 we'll have at least 8 devices that will be constantly communicating, right? So devices are going to multiply, the hardware is going to have a fun time, great time, and the connecting part, right, that's going to be the, major thing, right? um, 94% of business see an ROI from M2M communication. Smart home industry, right? Leading industry in the IoT market, 79.4 billion in revenue. Smart cities. So again, friends, smart city. That's, I think, if I can tell you right away, Barcelona is one of the smart cities, and Seoul in Korea. That's a smart city. There are lot of smart cities in the world, and in India the prime minister has sanctioned to have at least I think 100 smart cities by 2020, which is a huge initiative, right? So I would say that 100 is a big number, right? So everybody is like really looking at it with a lot of seriousness, and we are talking about home automation, we are talking about telecommunication, we are talking about networking, we are talking about 5G, we are talking about software defined networking, we are talking about cloud, how to do this, right? So and the big data analytics, how to crunch the data, all these are going to be playing a very, very major role. Look at this, friends. Technology roadmap, demand for expedited logistics, facilitating the routing, inventorying, and loss prevention, cost reduction leading to diffusion, second wave of applications, devices located indoors to receive geolocation signals, right? Teleoperation, telepresence, ability to control, monitor distant objects, and you know how the reach is really growing, right? The technology reach. It's like earlier, it's a big shift, right, friends? What I want you to understand here is just, I mean, let's not really get into each one of this. Just look at it from from how it was and how it is today and where it is going, right? All these hardwares, I mean, technology is like really helping the society, right? So it's just not modernizing something, automating. It is making a huge difference to the people, right? In a very, very positive way, right? In the way we do things, in the way we transact, in the way we do, when we talk about smart cities, right? It's not like having some fancy gadgets here and there, ATM, and it's not about that. Like in every aspect of it, right? You're talking about healthcare. We have all the doctors, right? You know how to find the right doctor so that your overall, the healthcare, the overall experience goes up, right? Healthcare, be it education, right? And be it, let's say, there are so many industries. I'll just read it out. I think it's probably coming. Uh, Education is there, healthcare is there, manufacturing, mining, smart automation, smart homes, right? All these are going to be, IoT is going to impact power distribution. Yeah, thank you. All these are, every aspect of it, right? IoT can play a major role, right? Everywhere, logistics, right? Everything, it can play a very significant role in a very, very positive way. We are not talking about, something, that's going to be like modern, and, people, in the good old days when computers came, people said, this machine is eating away our jobs and all that. But this is like going to revolutionize just not the technology. Technology is enabling the way, we experience the life itself. So to me, that's a very, very positive step, right? So machine to machine era, right? It's like Internet of Objects refers to a wireless network between, usually the network will be wireless, self-configuring as household appliances, right? So, see, we are talking about, I can give you a very simple example, friends. There are a lot of NRIs, who are all having their old parents, aged parents in back in India, right? India, or similarly any other country, I would say. So let's assume that, if one of the parent, God forbid, they get into this, some kind of emergency situation, right? If they have some kind of, fall, right? Which is one of the, I mean, it's not a, nobody wants to be in that situation, right? Sometimes the fall happens, they will not be able to get up, right? And that's when, and because the people, the person is old, they will not be able to have, they cannot get up, and they may not be able to get a timely help, right? Today we have, with this IoT, I can tell you, you can wear a, something like a Fitbit, right? Something like a pendant, there are some fall detection devices, right? So as soon as the person falls, okay, it can even send signals, right? It can send signals to the nearest, healthcare provider, and immediately there'll be a person who will be actually talking to the person, right? It enables a communication channel, right? It opens up a communication channel. The person keeps talking, right? See, for all the old people, right, the moment somebody keeps talking, right, that's a great reassurance to the person, right? Somebody is like, talking to them, right? That itself is going to bring back the energy or whatever, the confidence. So that person will keep talking. The meantime, there will be a network, that links up. It calls the provider, it calls for an ambulance, and it calls for some, vitals to be checked, because this device, as soon as the fall is done, registered, it is going to send the vital information, which is again through the Fitbit and all that, right? It is going to send the vital information to the hospitals. Accordingly, they'll take all the, necessary precautions. They will give all the things to send an ambulance automatically. It will inform the relatives. Look at the way it is providing, right? The network, how it informs, right? So all these are possibilities, friends. I am just talking about healthcare because this is something, which really touches the human lives. But in every aspect, I'm saying today it is more an industrial IoT, right? But going forward in another 2 to 3 years, right, it's going to be more and more customer centric, right? It refers to the concept that internet is no longer a global network for people to communicate with one another using computers. It's a platform for devices to communicate electronically with the world around them, right? So that's a very uh, it's a great concept here. An era where machines communicate with each other self-configuring, right? So look at this. See, yeah, I told you like 8, right? 7 connected devices per person, 71% based on respondents, 2011 holiday shopping, connected cars. I think this is gradually coming up, right? Google is building one, and there are a lot of connected cars, and it really, again, it becomes a driverless car, and also, you know, uh, even in the trains, all those things, right? You can, this guy, these devices can replace the human personals, and it becomes very, very, the safety is absolutely taken care here. But this is all, one aspect, friends. One flip side, I would say, is the security aspect, right? There are a lot of people, they have even thought about, what would happen if something is, what to say, the security aspect, right? If somebody can pilferage, right? So it can, it can, security can be a threat, but that is being debated, and that is being, you know worked by different providers of IoT and all that, right? A lot of people are still working on this, but people are making a lot of advancement in that area in general. So it will take a while for this technology to settle down, but it is actually growing at a very rapid pace. So people cannot avoid this. At the same time, there could be, uh, uh, you know this people may be constrained by this thought. What are the safety aspects, what are the security aspects, right? So safety part, yeah, it is there. It is very much, it offers overall, if things go in the proper way, then it will work beautifully. But what if there is a disruption? What if there is a failure in one of the devices? How will it behave? Not in a happy path, in a failure path. How will it behave, right? Because as humans, we know how to react to a situation, but how will the machines, you know how will the machines behave in that context? So those are all the things, people are still experimenting, but I'm sure they will, quell these challenges and move forward. Core components, if you look at it, RFID, track the data of things, sensor. These are all going to play a very important role, right? Sensor, because uh, even the let's say even a rocking chair an old person uses, right? Rocking chair, so that can that can have a sensor, it can send some signals, right, to the cloud. All this can be configured because everything will be assisted by a sensor that is going to send the signal, because it requires that, right, for to uh, communicate the information between the network, right? So to enhance the power of network by devolving processing capabilities to different part of the network, and nanotechnology make it smaller things have the ability to connect and interact. Okay, look at this space, friends. Food technology, retail, logistics, management, pharmaceuticals, which is drug related, and health. Okay, everywhere this is going to play a very vital role, right? So it has the potential to play a very important role. So now we are talking about too much data. Okay, now we are getting into analytics, right? Again, we first looked into the big data and the Hadoop, how, what big data, what is Hadoop as a framework doing and all that. Now we also had a dose of IoT, what IoT can do, what is the power of IoT and things like that. Then we are now looking at data is there, too much of data. How do we make sense out of the data, right? What do we do with that? As I told you, if the data is not analyzed, it's not going to be very useful, right? So we need to analyze the data, because the data is going to come from the IoT. Let's say now IoT pumps the data into the cloud, let's say, or into the network, wherever it has to go. Now what do we do with the data? Something has to be done, right? Maybe we get the data into Hadoop to process that, right? We have collected, look at this, friends, just a comic strip here. 250 terabytes of data about our customers software, and the software has analyzed the data. So what does the software tell us? It says we have 250 terabytes of data. Right? So uh, it says that, network of connected device where the real-time event streams coming from the various devices are analyzed as per the outcome. Other connected devices adapt accordingly. So today we have, like, let's say uh, the big data, right? Let's say even Hadoop, right? It has the ability to not only process the data that is entered through the application and all, it has the ability to even handle streaming data that may come from bulletin board, that may come from your application server logs, web server logs, and it can come from, network, right? All these streaming data can be captured, right? And you can make some sense out of the data. Let's say, in a large organization, you will have a network pipe, right? You can have different ports running in, right, in a large organization, and all the network, the server logs, right? It can keep here, I mean, you can keep monitoring. It can be used as a very big monitoring tool as well, whether there is any if there is any weird patterns you see, maybe there is a, some kind of attack is happening, right? Some kind of intrusion is happening. All these are becoming possibilities. Now we are talking about the same, extending that to IoT too, so that the other connected devices can adapt here, right? Retail, intelligent shopping, barcode in retail, electronic tags, right? So friends, I think a lot of you may have joined from US, I'm just guessing. So today the shopping has become like, people are, they just go, take out their smartphones, and they just click on, they just go to a nearest store. Maybe whatever I'm saying, it could be like 2 3 years old, but I just want to still say that they can just click the barcode, capture the barcode in the phone, right? That smartphone immediately, what it does is, it can simply, it can look for the nearest place where they can go uh, buy the product. Okay, and what is the best price? It can look at, it can parameterize on, on the price, on the place, on the proximity and all that. It can point to you, which are the best places on that zone, right? So you can actually go and, you can place an order in the smartphone itself by clicking on that. Then it also gives you an electronic receipt, and it is delivered before you even head home, right? That's the kind of shopping experience we are talking about, right? So every country, I'm sure India is also, going in that direction. US, I think a lot of places they already have these kind of features, right? So uh, retailing, giant leap forward, no doubt about that. Pharmaceuticals, we already spoke about it. Product websites, drug usage tracking, emergency treatment to be given faster, more correct, right? So today, I think you all know, friends, a small startup in Bangalore, right? I just want to give this because they have researched. I think they have about like 1.5 billion. Uh, they are extensively conducting the stem cell research, right? Especially people coming up with bone marrow and all. When they get into a situation, right? The best medication, especially in the oncology, is to exactly give the stem cell which is going to be the matching one, right? So the closer it is, the better the treatment is, right? So how do we find it? So people keep searching, they do a lot of tests. These guys do the pattern matching, right? These guys already have a bank which is like 1.5 billion combinations they have using the big data and all that, right? So it's look at the value they're going to add and look at the way they're going to touch the human lives, right? So it's a very small startup. They are revolutionizing in the in the area of genomics, right? Right? So again, in the food uh, geographical origin, food production management, nutrition calculations, prevent overproduction, shortage, okay, health safety, and yeah, it can do this as well. I don't have much to add here. It can, it can verify the nutrition calculations, prevent overproduction. Yeah, of course. Again, a lot of times, we have seen how the food is wasted, commodity, everything is wasted and all that, right? So we can kind of limit all those things, and it can play a major role in the overall chain. Food quality, health, safety. Of course, safety is one of the key aspects. Health, we have seen, like, it can measure how the money given in a week, these guys spending by each category, they also learn west allows consumers to review the spending by category and all that, continuously monitored, analyzed to find a pattern. Okay, you guys can try these sites, friends, just to see, just to feel the experience. You can try that. And also my fitness pal not only gives how many calories, also breaks it down into protein, fat, and carbs and all that. Yeah, I mean, for the health freaks, right? A lot of people, it's just not freaks. People are very, very health conscious these days, and this can tell you. I mean, Fitbit is one of the great examples, right? People are continuously walking. They are even monitoring how many steps they are clocking per day, and that Fitbit automatically transfers the number of steps to your server, right? To a central server, where it is captured, and it gives you a report onto your inbox. There are a lot of stuff today. It's already happening in the area of fitness and all that. So career mantra: ops, DevOps, development, data scientist for all. Be a generalist. Understand ops, know Linux. Linux is one of the de facto operating system for especially big data and all that, Hadoop and all that. So it's very important to know this Linux. Of course, DevOps is one of the evolving things, and as we get into more and more connected framework, right? DevOps is going to be very, very important here. Okay, so friends, hope I was able to make some sense out of the whole thing here. So I've come to the end of this thing. Do you have any questions at this point in time? Sorry, I was not looking at the question window for quite some time because I just thought I'll complete this so that we can have an uninterrupted question time now. Okay. How Hadoop and IoT are related? Let me take up this question. Okay. Okay. So friends, can I first answer these few questions, then you can try other questions, right? First question I'll take up: how Hadoop and IoT are related. See, IoT is as I said, it's an enabler. It's an enabling framework, right? So I can use the IoT framework, which is going to, enable the devices to, the connected devices, and the data can go, the data can, it can be processed in Hadoop, right? So that is one of the things we can, that's how I can see it. Hadoop is a framework that can handle the, storage as well as processing. So the process data from IoT can be put in Hadoop, and we can analyze the data further, right? So that is something I can sell. Big data job opportunities in India, which feel mostly, because that's a very generic question, Ravi. So the point is, big data is a very, very thriving industry. It's still at a very, very nascent level. Trust me, it's going to grow like crazy. There's no doubt about that. Even with IoT and all this, it's going to be phenomenal opportunities. You saw the statistics what I showed you, right? Everywhere, it's just not around the world. India, all the countries are uh, going to grow in this direction. So if somebody is investing on big data, feel free to do that, because it's going to grow. Is SAS predictive or comes in analytical part? Friends, SAS and R are two different languages, right? SAS is not open source, R is, right? So it's like you can learn one of these things. R is more, both support great visualization, and it's for analyzing the data and all that, especially in the statistical, uh, from the statistical angle. So some people use SAS because it has got a fantastic support and all that. So R is more community driven. So R is also great. It has got very rich visualization and all that. So you can use either of that, Sumit. Yeah. Is name node a logical process? Okay. Okay. There are a lot of questions, friends. So can I keep answering? Just give me a minute. Name node a logical process. Name node is it's a daemon which runs in the master node, master server, right? It has the metadata about all the physical data which is stored in your data node, which is a slave daemon in your commodity server, right? So this is what I want you to understand. Do I need to know Java or other programming languages for big data? Uh, Java is not a prerequisite, but if you know, well and good. But there are so many other languages which are not Java centric, so you don't need to worry about that. What are the prerequisites of learning Hadoop, IoT, and big data? Prerequisites, I would just say that, if you have, I don't see a major prerequisite, but you know, if you're an analytical person, I think that is good enough, right? That's a very generic answer I'm offering, I know that, but what I want to convey here is, see, IoT is more, if you are getting into data science and all that, you need to have an aptitude for math and statistics and things like that. For Hadoop, IoT, all these things, if you have some technological background, that's going to help you. Uh, but otherwise also, you can pick up shares. No big deal. Can we implement IoT with Arduino? Yes, Vipul. Yes, it's one of the frameworks. Uh, Shrikant, it looked to 10 minutes for downloading. Unfortunately, I missed. Aditya is saying. How could I know about that? Aditya, I guess you may have access to the recording of this session. I guess, I mean, I'm sure this session is being recorded, so you will get the recording, right? Can I use tools like SAS in the Hadoop framework? Uh, Arpan is asking this. I'm sure R can, I have not used SAS, friends, but R can access Hadoop framework. There are Hadoop connectors from R, right? I'm sure SAS will have something similar too. What are the prerequisites? I think Shreyas, I answered you. How is Hadoop and Cassandra related? Hadoop is a framework, right? Cassandra is a NoSQL database, friends, right? It's a NoSQL database in the sense, it is a, what to say? We have all these databases, RDBMS, which are very, very SQL-ish, right? This is NoSQL is, it has got a flat file structure, you know, uh, denormalized structure, I would say, denormalized, and it makes it a lot more easier and faster, and makes it less complex and more scalable and more faster, right? So Cassandra, MongoDB, you have this HBase, you have the Redis, you have Memcache, you have CouchDB, Dynamo, so many NoSQL databases are there. So Hadoop, I mean, it's probably not great to compare these two. Maybe you should compare Cassandra with the other things, whatever I told you. Can you show the architecture of Hadoop, how the cloud and Hadoop are integrated? Akhilesh, I wish I had a slide like that, but I would generally tell, uh, see, Hadoop, you can either use the cloud or you can very well use the in-premise architecture as well, right? Uh, for Hadoop, right? You can have your own cluster, but you can have something like uh, so if you are referring to this, I wish just a minute. There was something here. Just a minute, friends. If that is going to be of any use, look at this. No, this is this one. This is a typical cluster, Akhilesh. Yeah, this is a typical cluster. How it looks like, right? You have a client, HDFS client, that will interact with the master node, and the master node gives the instructions where to read the information from or where to write the data, in which slave node it has to write the data, and accordingly the data will be written, right? This may give you some perspective. As an ETL developer, Saroj is asking, should I go for Hadoop development or analytics? Uh, ETL developer. I think you can go for, if you're a ETL developer, maybe analytics could be, a good place, Saroj. Yeah, because you already know what is analytics and all that to a great extent. How does the IoT platform work? Data is sent by IoT device. There is a platform that collects this data, application layer. Sunil is asking this question. Logging data being dumped into file system and put into HDFS. Hadoop processes puts it into some BI tool. Machine learning to understand some learning. Want to understand how the data is, am I, okay, there's a lot of dumped into Hadoop. Okay, so Sunil, it's a long question, right? So what I'm trying to say is the IoT platform, right? Whatever it is, the devices that is sending the data, right? That's going to make, see, end of the day, the devices will be starting, because everything will be like, IPv6, right? Everything will have its own IP address. It'll start communicating. But when it starts communicating, what is the course of action it needs to take? Let's say that, we sent that, the alarm time clock, because the meeting got pushed, it sent a, for the alarm to allow 5 minutes more extra sleep. How did that decide, right? So that decision needs to come from something, right? So that alarm signal would listen to, okay, I'll trigger the alarm after 5 minutes. So the decision making, right? So that needs to, maybe, that data can get into some place, right? Some persistent medium, and, and if you want to analyze the data, like, how many times the alarm has started late and things like that, right? If you want to get into the analysis and, those kind of things, you can, you can use Hadoop as the persistent medium or the sink to do some analysis, right? But in typical IoT also, you can, you can use Hadoop as, because Hadoop can store massive amount of data. You can always use the, the all the data that is getting into the cloud or that is getting into the your cluster, right? That data can be stored in Hadoop. I'm just giving you multiple examples here. I mean, it need not be this way, but I'm saying, that's one of the options we have. Uh, what is the implementation language of big data? Implementation language. It can be Java, it can be Python, it can be anything, friends, right? So I am onto data warehousing, business intelligence, have about 4+ years of experience. I'm not much onto Java. That's fine, Shawajit. I mean, you can get into Hadoop, you can get into analytics, you can get in, there are so many other languages like Hive, Pig and all that, right? So you can, they are just not, they completely hide the complexities of, uh, you know the otherwise map reduce, which is more Java oriented, right? So it reduces, it hides those complexities. You can very well thrive on those things, right? You can very well use those technologies there. So it's, you don't need to be getting into Java at all. How DevOps framework, free and open source software? Gautam is asking this question. Is a FOSS. Gautam, I wish I knew the answer for this. I'm not sure about what FOSS is all about. Sorry about that. Free and open source software. Uh, well, DevOps. I'm not sure about this question, Gautam. I probably, sorry, I'm not able to answer this. Can we use .NET, Akhilesh? Can we use .NET? Uh, Maybe Azure can be one of the clouds, which is more, it's a platform offered by Microsoft. I'm not sure what is a .NET thing coming in here, but yeah, I mean, if you want to use .NET as a, if you're putting a service layer and, you can use a .NET code to, interact with the service layer. It need not be just Java. That way, you can use .NET. To become data scientist, what all things are required? Priyanka, data scientist, as I told you, the first and foremost thing, you need to have a sharp acumen for math and statistics. Generally, people have, you know a master's or a doctorate in these areas, right? Otherwise also, don't get disheartened, like, if you don't have a PhD or something in math or statistics, you can still get started. You need to have a fair grasp of what big data are all about, and you need to have something. Data scientists, they just don't do analysis, right? Those guys know how to fix an algorithm, right? So they know how to optimize an algorithm, in that level. So you need to have a good grasp of algorithms and all that. So it requires a lot of knowledge gaining and all that. Venkatesh is asking, I'm a fresher, I have no work experience, good decision to get into big data admin side, I'm not interested in programming. Sure, Venkatesh, you can. Is there a way big data will be helpful for IT people? Absolutely yes. Why should you ask this? It is. How much salary can I expect? I'm a fresher. Okay. Well, I'm not from the payroll department or anything. I would say that, SaaS or everything is a skill in demand. So I'm sure, there's a lot of, demand for that. That is how I want to put it. Data science versus big data. I think I already told you, right, friends? Uh, Big data is a challenge. Data science, it's more a, uh, you need to analyze the data and making insights, and you also try to see which is the best algorithm, and things like that, right? You will spend more on the data mining, and and analyze the data, and see how you can make sense out of the data. That is all about data science. Any programming language to know mandatorily to learn big data? Shreyas, I would say, if you're so keen, go and learn Python. That's one of the most powerful languages. It's evolving pretty fast. What about Mahout in analytics? Mahout is in recommendation engine, and it's machine learning. Yeah, it is quite useful because, yeah, it can, it is in those areas. Recommendation engine, it is used in those areas. Is there any master's course in for big data? There are master's course offered in uh, what to say, in data science and things like that. Big data, I know there are great certification courses offered in several places here, and definitely there should be, some stream. Uh, you know, you can definitely. There are a lot of people, who are teaching, you know, big, specifically on the analytics front. You can go and pick those skills. Can we learn MBA student? Can we learn big data? Yes, absolutely yes. For where we can learn more about IoT. Yeah, I think IoT, it is, I'm not sure how many people are offering the course in IoT, Vipul. Maybe for now you can look into some of the, you know, you can check out Coursera if they're offering anything, but there are very less players here. Will that be helpful if we read only Hadoop, or do we need to know both Hadoop and big data? So as I told you, Bhuvanesh, big data is it's just a challenge, or it's a problem, and Hadoop is the framework, right? So if you know Hadoop, you know how to handle the big data. What about SQL? Will I be handicapped if I do not know SQL? You don't need to know SQL if you're getting to know SQL, right? So if you know SQL, it is good. If you don't know SQL also, it is fine. I mean, it is not a constraint for you to, to necessarily know SQL. How Hadoop and MongoDB are similar? They are not similar. Nobody told that it's similar. Um, Both are storage. MongoDB is more database oriented, right? How can we connect R and Hadoop for data analysis? Maybe question is not right. Question is great, Binod. There are Hadoop connectors for R. You can use that. It can connect to Hive, it can connect to Hadoop and all that, right? SQL and Hadoop anywhere related to each other. Uh, I mean, you can vaguely relate it, but it's not actually related. Give an essence of 3 layers of Hadoop. No, we spoke about the cluster management, right? And we spoke about uh, the storage, and we spoke about the processing. So one of the significant things in Hadoop, friends, is if someone asks you how it is becoming ruthlessly efficient, it does two things. Okay, one is it does parallel processing. That is why it is able to read 20 terabytes of data or petabytes of data in a very short time, right? It becomes very, very powerful that way, right? And the other thing is the major paradigm shift, right? You should definitely remember this. What Hadoop does is it moves the compute to the data, right? So what we do in traditional systems, we keep on shifting the data where the program is running, right? We feed it, and the shifting the data will cripple the network and all the network bandwidth and everything. So when we are moving the program to the place where the data is residing, because the data is bigger, right, the program is generally smaller, so this makes it very, very efficient, right? So that's one of the major shifts. Can I know what is software and hardware requirement needed for IoT? Uh, Hardware requirement, you need those sensors, Arun Kumar. Uh, you need those sensors, and you need a cloud framework. You need some of the hardware devices that can connect with this. Software, it can be anything. There are some, there are a lot of frameworks that are in the industry today. Okay, a lot of frameworks that are in the industry for IoT, and you have the raspberry, you have this Arduino, a lot of things are there. And besides that, for you to analyze it further, you have a lot of other networks, a lot of cloud, which you need to analyze the data further. So it's a very generic question, I would say, but uh, but a lot of them can be used. Friends, Anan, having knowledge of Java prerequisite for learning MapReduce. Okay. uh, Java pre-requirement, no. The answer is no. Any programming language, I think I answered. ETL still has future, yes, Aditya, yes. Uh, Course related to big data and IoT, or it's just big data? I think it's just a webinar. We are trying to see how we make sense out of all this IoT, big data and analytics. Um, so friends, okay, I have opted for Hadoop DevOps course with Edureka, but from where to start analytics as a self-learning? Uh, no, there are analytics courses as well, Saroj. But I would say that you can still make a lot of sense if you can start looking at self-learning. You can probably look at some kind of if you start if you can mine the data, that can be a good starting point. Okay, just learn to mine the data. So then then you can start doing some basic analytics on that. Any certification on Hadoop development? So friends, can I think there are a lot of questions. So I hope, the questions going to stop now. So let me just, I think there are like 6, 7 questions. I'll stop here, right? I'll stop right here after this. Any certification? There are a lot of certifications in the market, friends, right? Like Cloudera is there, EMC is there, and you can opt for this. I want to be an entrepreneur near future. What are the future job prospects in big data? There are quite a lot, Shreyas. You don't need to be quite a lot of opportunities. Being a .NET dev, what should I go for Hadoop development? You can still .NET dev, you can maybe Azure can be one of the starting point, Mayank, if you're a Microsoft centric person. Uh, I am Linux admin. Don't know SQL or any other languages. That's fine. You know, you can probably graduate yourself to a Hadoop admin. That's possible. Opted for Hadoop Dev course. I think, yeah, Saroj, I think I answered you. I have knowledge in MongoDB. I feel MongoDB both use MapReduce concept by using sharding. Can you please explain me the difference between Hadoop and MongoDB? Like I told you, right? MongoDB uses MapReduce, and MongoDB need not even, it doesn't require Hadoop as well. Okay, so it can be used in conjunction with Hadoop, or it need not be. Where can I find predictive R and advanced predictive R? Sumit, I think if you go to the, just go to the download the R Studio, you have all this information. How can we use IoT for embedded? Of course, IoT is going to be, how can I use IoT for embedded application? Um, mm, I know IoT is going to be used for embedded devices. If that is your question, the answer is yes, you can use, because there are a lot of embedded devices that are going to be using IoT, right? Dev course with Edureka itself, but from where to start? Okay, I think Saroj, I hope I answered your question. I want to be Shreyas. Are you aware of any startups working on big data? Lots and lots of it, Amaya, lots and lots of it. Startups, yeah, I can, you name it, because there is no one or two, right? So many startups, just Google it. You'll find a lot of startups mushrooming in, different parts of India itself. Are you aware of any specific tool? I mean, any tool. Where to start for analytics? Tool, maybe you can use R itself, Saroj, right? Just download R Studio and, start looking at, you can start mining the data using R itself. Please connect analytics, machine learning, big data. I think we told that, right, Takalam? The thing is, analytics, big data, whatever is coming out of it, right? The data can be analyzed. And machine learning is, if you want to, you know, uh, work on a specific algorithm, especially on the recommendation front or anything on the, you know, uh, unsupervised, supervised learning, that's where it is going to be. You will be using machine learning as well. Which technology needed for startup with Hadoop? Selected for startup. I think that's a very generic question, Bhavisha. It's not like, it can be answered, because, it depends on the problem, right? The business domain, where, what they are up to, right? It can be anything. What are the job roles? Again, it has got a very, very big spread. It is not like, you can go as an architect, you can go as a developer, you can go as an administrator, you can go as a, manager. So many job roles are there. Like Pig, Hive, Spark, which is booming for jobs. All of them, I would say, Bhavisha. Yeah, all of them. So friends, I think we are 20 minutes past time. So I would say that, it was a pleasure interacting with all of you. So all I want you to, I wish I was able to do some justice. Hope you enjoyed the session. Very nice to have all of you on board today, and really uh, uh, appreciate your enthusiasm, right? So thank you so much. So I would say, friends are asking my LinkedIn profile. So I would say, friends, please contact Edureka support. I think they should be able to provide, your answers. So uh, uh, hope you all enjoyed the evening. Yeah, hope you all enjoyed this session. And friends, one last thing I want to request from you. So I need feedback from all of you, right? So please take some time as soon as I end the webinar, right? It will ask you for the feedback. Please feel free to, provide your thoughts and feedback. So that is the one which has been helping us to, get to this stage. So please help us with the feedback. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful night and good day to the people at the other side of the geography. Bye.